Hey everyone, welcome to another Devstream. I am Community Manager iamisom, and with me here today is Marketing Director Pmasher.
Hey guys, happy holidays. So, why don't we have a Santa hat?
We are.
Oh, I know why. Because actually, we're moving offices. What? Uh, Basically tomorrow. So everyone at Trendy is going on break. We have a couple people left in the office now. Our last day of work is actually, I think everyone. The first day off is the 24th, right? And then we're off until January
January 5th is our
5th.
first day back.
Is our first day back. And we'll be back in a new office. So the next time we talk to you guys, you'll see our new live stream room after January 5th. It probably won't be set up yet. It might actually look a little something like this, which is our now empty conference room. But we're really excited.
Yeah, it's definitely a gorgeous new place to be and to make video games. Oh, I guess we're jumping into a map already.
And of course, as you guys know, iamisom Josh here is usually off site, but he's come on site this last week to kind of help us pack up and get ready for the move and get the last stuff in before the end of the year.
Yep.
So thank you, Josh, for coming down here and showing your beautiful face
Yeah, no
to
problem.
all these people.
And as you can see, I'm well built
Oh
enough.
yeah, he is.
Yeah, look at that.
He's moving all the boxes.
Yeah, that was
There's
some
bubble
rock
wrap.
right
See, we are moving. I told Josh I'm gonna wrap him up and. You gotta play, Josh.
So I'm just supposed to play while you.
Yeah, while I wrap you in bubble wrap.
Alright, that's fine.
We should ask everyone in the chat if they want me to wrap Josh in bubble wrap. I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be a resounding yes.
I don't think they want that actually.
You don't think so?
No.
Alright, guys, let us know in the chat if you want to see Josh playing Dungeon Defenders while I wrap him in bubble wrap. We might make it happen.
Alright. So while we're playing, we're going to be answering some of the questions from from the stream, and then just so you know, at 5:30 our time, so in 23 minutes, we're going to call in our art team, and we'll be talking to our wonderful, colorful artists, and you can ask them any kind of art-related.
Look, all the yeses are coming in.
Nah, there's one guy saying yes
there's a
over
lot.
and over.
See, please wrap him. Yes, wrap him up at the end of the stream. Oh, so those of you who are, I guess, watching on the front page, this stream is for Dungeon Defenders 2. We're Trendy. We're actually in the process of moving offices right now, so that's why we have the pretty crappy-looking background, to be fair. This is the empty walls of our conference room, and we're playing. What is this level called?
This is Greystone Plaza.
I know all the levels by their code names.
Yeah.
This is Town Square 01, but apparently it's actually Greystone Plaza. So right now we're going to be taking some questions for the first half an hour of the show, and then we're going to have the whole art team do kind of a round table where you guys can ask questions, and we'll just launch them off talking about whatever it is that they like to talk about.
Yep. So the first question is kind of already answered in chat, but we can answer it on the stream. Someone asked, why is there blue mana and green mana?
Oh, perfect. So in the original Dungeon Defenders, there's only one kind of mana. It was actually both blue and green, and I think another color, or just blue and green. In the chat, let me know. I think it's blue and green. But in DD2, we wanted to make you be able to use both your abilities for your hero, as well as your defenses without there being a trade-off between the two. Because in the first game, most groups would actually only use their defenses until they had built everything up and upgraded everything, and then decide to use their abilities since they share the same resource pool. So we split those in Dungeon Defenders 2, so there's two resources. There's one to do all of your hero stuff, which maybe Josh, you can show off Sword Beam or something like that. Ground Slam, Ban, these kind of things that deal damage to enemies, and then also another one for your defenses. The new patch made the monk so weak. Why is that? So I don't think the new patch made the monk that weak. I still think he's probably the go-to character that everyone's still using right now on the end game. I think I've still seen some pretty flawless builds with him so far. The balance of the game is going to need a lot of tweaking. That's something that we're going to be looking into the last month. There's still major features that are not in the game that are drastically going to affect balance, like pets and those sorts of things. So it's going to be a while before we have everything in tip-top shape. We're kind of at our starting point. There's going to be the addition of new combos to kind of balance things out, and then us figuring out how to make combos work in a balanced game world. I know one of the things that I've been thinking about the last couple of days, and
Sorry, the person who said that was like, maybe my cousin just sucks with Among Them.
yeah, maybe, we don't know. But
He's a winner in our eyes.
yeah, everyone's a winner in our eyes. I was gonna say is that one of the challenges of Dungeon Defenders, especially developing the sequel, is not just making the moment-to-moment gameplay fun, but having it maintain fun and change and evolve in different ways while you level up and progress through the game and find new items. And I was thinking, I was like, there's all this disparity of people on the Steam forums and our own forums who are playing the game now go, oh, the game's too easy, or the game's too hard. Everyone kind of falls into a different spot here, and that's really because a lot of the balance has to do with how you've chosen to level your character or what you've chosen to put in and your playstyle. There was a point in time when when we were really early in development, that some of the defense counselors in the chat probably know, where there was no gear yet or no leveling yet. And those are the only points in time that the game will ever have probably been really, really, really well balanced for everyone who played, because there's no disparity in characters. So that's definitely something that we're going to be looking a lot into as we kind of play with those systems.
So if you're wondering, I think we're waiting on our monk to finish building up his auras here. And I think he's ready, so we're going to go ahead and get this thing going.
So we have a couple more questions. We have 2 questions here, and guys, please keep asking questions. This is one of my favorite questions, one of the things that I do really want to get into the game. This is about, will we bring back score and EXP bonus goals, such as use all of the DU or don't take core damage, etc.? So yes, we will be bringing back stuff like that. You can see on our development roadmap, which is linked to on our website, and then also in the Steam description for the game, that we have a goal on there that I believe is called achievements and feats and badges. And those things that you're talking about are what we call badges. They're things that are awarded basically once per mission that you get goals for. We actually have, as you notice, and this goes into the second question as well, a summary screen is probably one of the most temporary things in the game right now. And we have a lot of work to do to get a score system in order, and then once we get the score system in order, we will be adding in the feats and the other things like that will play into the score system. Right now, basically, if you beat the level, you get pretty much the same score what anyone else gets. So these will be modifiers, and then once we have that in, which means that different groups of players can beat levels to different degrees of success, then we will have start to put leaderboards and those kind of things in, so that people can actually try to beat the level better than they did before, beat the level better than other people. We don't know exactly which badges are going to go in yet. I do think we have a design document with a couple of them designed out. I think the designers are trying to avoid necessarily pigeonholing people into playing the game a certain way with the score bonuses. They want it to encourage a variety of play styles as opposed to play this way.
So someone asked earlier, are we going to just show off any new content and feature dev streams?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can do if you guys want. We actually have a couple of maps up our sleeve maybe that we're kind of working on while the content team's working on, while the rest of the team is just working on general features for the game. We can definitely, maybe even when we get back in January, take a look at something new on the dev stream. I think that it's a real big question for us right now about how we kind of release that map content with early access, because there's still so many features we have to add. There's still so much balancing that goes into the game that there's a lot of confounding variables between just saying, hey, a map's done, let's put it into the game. One of the big things that we told you in the influence report, if you guys saw, was that we're actually working on a really big change to the structure of the game and how the matchmaking system works and how the playlist system works. So we definitely want to get that better and have everyone enjoying that and feeling good progressing through the game before we start to just add more map content in. But the maps are gorgeous, and they're certainly something that we can maybe play on the dev stream and show off, as well as maybe some other new in development features when we come back in January. Yeah. We should have been playing the For those of you that didn't know, the designers did like a powwow, the level designers and the design team, after we got all the feedback from launch about the matchmaking system, and have a prototype of a more linear progression for the first couple parts of the game. We should have booted that up and played it this time. Maybe next time.
Yeah.
we
Do
can
you
play
just
through
kind of
that.
want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I'll talk about it briefly. This is kind of like a partial step to where they want to go with it. In game development, often we like to prototype stuff and see if it's fun and it's working before we kind of figure out how we're actually going to do it and take it forward. And what the designers did after, all of the great feedback that we got from you guys about the matchmaking system just not working and the maps not feeling, while the maps themselves are fun to play, it felt too grindy and it didn't feel like you could progress through the content enough, is they kind of used some of the existing balances plus created new ones to start to put together a more linear progression as opposed to the non-linear that people were asking for, and played it. We've had maybe like half the team at the office do a playtest of it, and I think when we get back in January we're going to be doing a more wide playtest of it and start evolving it for there.
MKT Singh asked, are you guys planning to add back tooltips of skill damage and effects like in DDE? Right now, ability power doesn't seem to scale with some skills. I believe that's in the works. We have the coming soon to descriptions details. They were there.
Yeah, so
weren't working.
I think the answer to this question is that I don't know if there'll be tooltips per se, but there is a menu in the Forge menu. Maybe you can go show it, Josh.
Yeah.
Where we are going to be putting all that information. So you should be able to change out your gear and then look at these kind of, if you click on like abilities, and see the detailed information about what this does based on what you've equipped to your character, at least here. So.
I think I'm good with those skills, those specs.
So let's see. We have somebody who says I wasted 13 points in reduced cooldown skill for the apprentice, and that doesn't work. Skill has the same cooldown with 0 points and reduced skill down. What is this? Well, the game is early access, so that may be a bug. I have seen reduce the cooldown stat working before, so we'd love for you to maybe go to talk to the tavern keeper and let him know that, and that'll help us look into your game and why exactly the reduced cooldown stat isn't working for you, and then possibly fix it. Well, not possibly, we will fix it with one of our upcoming patches. We're definitely balancing, as you guys have noticed, kind of working on new content in the team and then making important fixes. So that's something that we're still very much working on. I think Josh and the QA team and some of the APs had a meeting just yesterday where they were talking about how do we prioritize. Oh man, it's old Gridlock. They should see new Gridlock. How they prioritize the difference between important bug fixes to users and working on new stuff for everyone. So let's see. Some other questions here. Do you plan on adding a way to specialize towers later in levels? This will be done through the Forge and allow your towers to take on an advanced form, such as poison trap could avoid a poison flamethrower-esque trap or into a larger dart launcher with a larger amount of darts. So I think that's kind of what the idea behind the spec system is. We know that the spec system is still really early in implementation. There's only 6 specs per character. Some of them are obviously way better and more fun to use than other specs. And the kind of idea behind that eventually, and we're going to see where we take it and what you guys like playing when you let us know, is that through that system or whatever that system evolves into, that's how you're going to be able to, as you level up, customize your character. So, some ideas of things that may happen to that system that we've discussed internally, once again, not promises, just ideas, are that maybe you have a lot of specs per character, something like 20 or 30, and then maybe some of them unlock as you level up your hero, so that way there's progression to that system. You have starting specs that you can put stuff into, and then more advanced specs that you can use to change out your towers and abilities. Others ideas were possibly that you had a character and there was a large pool of specs, and then you got locked into choosing which ones you wanted to be able to level up, like picking 8 or so of those. So there's a lot of different ideas that people are playing around with for in the future when we start to revisit and look at that system. Although right now we're definitely very, very focused on kind of the matchmaking system of the game and getting some of the other features in that we're working on. So let's see, we had a question about platform. Yes, it will be out on Mac and Linux in addition to Windows. One of the reasons, oh man, I'll kill him. Oh, he's gonna get you.
Yeah,
Oh, one of the reasons that we do have a Mac and Linux build. We only released the PC build though because we wanted to kind of be able to release a really high quality early access experience for people. And as you guys know, we've had trouble in the past kind of releasing all 3 platforms at the same time, and with considerably less users on Linux and Mac, having to make a decision between fixing bugs that affected 95% of the user base or fixing bugs that affected a smaller portion of the user base. So we decided this time that we wanted to release Windows first. We wanted to get that version up and running well, and then early access. And then later in early access, we're going to be, rolling out, and we'll let you guys know well in advance when we do the other platform versions of the game. And then, go through the same bug processing, fixing that we've been doing on the PC version.
Sorry, I'm like hyper focused right now. Okay.
So you guys are asking questions so fast, I can't see all of them, so I apologize if I miss some. If I miss a question, please just ask it again. Let's see. We want to know, can we play a mode, a 4v4 PvP mode? So, right now we're really focused on the PvE of the game. We still have a lot of work to do on the PvE and making it really fun to progress through the game and have balanced characters and all those things. So that's not something that's on our roadmap right now. But when we get to the PvE to a really good place, we may investigate PvP modes. We really think that the core of Dungeon Defenders is about being PvE, and so if we have to pick between spending time making an okay PvP mode or making the PvE mode a lot better, we're probably going to choose making the PvE mode a lot better. Let's see. Do you plan on adding more towers but keeping the amount of towers in your deck the same, thus allowing more diversity in the multiplayer? So, lots of stuff like that are possibilities down the road. Right now in the current plans is that each hero has your 4 towers, and then you're able to change those up with the specs. That's a really cool idea and something that we would love to do. Towers are very expensive for us to make per hero. So, it ends up going down to, well, do we start to make more heroes, which is going to give you more towers, or do we make more towers per hero? I know there was a fun idea, once again, just an idea, not something that we necessarily do a long, long time ago, and I do think this is something that we wouldn't do now, which was that possibly there's by doing some special thing and playing the game for a really long time, you could get amorphous character class that you could pick and choose which towers they have. Obviously that, like I said, it's an idea that would create so many balancing issues and tons of other problems in the game. Yeah. But we kind of recognize and the desire to be able to customize yourself further and are trying to, weigh the ways that we can do that against having a game where people can play as different characters and have a field balance, those kind of things. So let's see. I will say that the one thing I think is that the first game, even though we did have 5 towers per hero, a lot of them were useless. And even just in the course of normal playing, you'd usually only find yourself using 4. And that was really the fundamental reason why we decided to focus on doing 4 per hero for the sequel. So as we start to go back through them and modify the characters, we can focus on making each of the 4 defenses really useful per hero, as opposed to spreading ourselves thin with a lot of defenses per hero. So that's something that we're still looking at and looking into doing, and I'd love to know your guys' feedback on how that is now. And it's something that there's certainly going to be a lot more work going into in the future after we start to get some of the rest of the systems for the game in. So adding combos between enemy monsters, adding cool challenges. That's actually a really cool idea. There's not really combos now. The enemies can start to affect each other. I think they have, the Dark Mage can heal all the minions around him. I think that's really cool and maybe something that we'd look into doing. I know that we really like the idea of having support class type enemies. We have this kind of design doc in the studio. And something that I think is going to be probably used now, repurposed for it in the incursion mode, which is the idea of commanders. And commanders can do things like they fight you in different ways, and eventually when you get wave director in, they'll start to affect how the map actually randomizes. But also, oh man,
I just ran into it. Oh no, I just
Yeah.
stay back.
but also they'll be able to basically buff other enemies around them and interact with other enemies in special ways that you'll have to fight. Is local multiplayer going to be in Dungeon Defenders 2? That's a great question. So yes, we will have local co-op. You'll still have to be online to play. The game is an online game. But yeah, we are going to have local co-op. It's something that we are working on for the future. I think you're going to survive still.
Yeah, it's just
But yeah, you gotta.
he
you
butt
gotta
slammed
think.
and it hit me through this gap. Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Oh, shenanigans. Nope. Uh-oh.
So let's see. Hey, melee class only gets 60% hero damage from items. Do you think that discourages people playing melee DPS? I think that it's really interesting when we're designing the melee versus range classes because they obviously have pros and cons to them. I think one thing that's not described well through tooltips in the game is that melee classes can do basically with not splash damage, but
Knockback.
no, what's it called when you hit multiple enemies?
Area of effect?
We have a word for it.
Yeah.
Anyways, they basically do splash damage when they hit multiple enemies, and because of that, it wouldn't be fair to the range characters to. Whoa, oh man, everyone killed themselves. Yeah, it's balanced in a way that they kind of level up and their damage doesn't get too out of whack. Oh man, right? Doesn't get too out of whack between cleave damage. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. Mockerade and Giraffe Head. So because they cleave, some of the numbers look like they do less damage when in reality they do as much or often more than the range classes when you get into it. So I find it weird that a knight can solo level 25 plus hard mode in a party of 4 people. Everyone stands AFK. So yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to read the rest of that. The thing scrolled up. There's a lot of balance work still to be done in Dungeon Defenders 2. I think it's really funny because as people have learned to play the game, I feel like the general community feelings of, oh, this game is too difficult, you always have to play, have shifted to, oh, the game's too easy. Now you don't have to play without us actually changing anything in the game, and it's something that we're going to be having to do a lot of work with over the period of time that we're in early access to get everything balanced out and fun. It is our intention to make the game not, as some of you like to say, AFK fest like Dungeon Defenders 1. We want people to have to play the game. Now, I mean, it's fun to play a game, right? Now, it's also fun to watch your towers kill stuff, and we have to balance the fun of watching your towers kill stuff and making you play and do it in a fun way. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth. All of that stuff is just numbers. So I would say, when you start to look at, how the game is, through early access, the numbers are going to possibly vary drastically. And that makes difference between the game being an AFK fest or being, oh my god, I hate it, we play too fast. Live stream. Peeking in. Alright, I'll be with you after the live stream. Sorry guys, that was Suda. I guess we didn't hang up signs this time that we're doing a live stream. So I don't know if you got to see his lovely face or not. He just shaved off his mustache that he's had for a couple of weeks. Yeah, he's got a baby face like you now. Just kidding.
I haven't hit puberty yet, so.
Yeah.
But he looked like Freddie Mercury.
I know, I know. I'm sad.
It was a beautiful thing.
So let's see, will there be added a variety in item stats and abilities such as the multi-attack stats on some weapons in DD1? So yeah, I think that's something that's very interesting that a lot of people are asking for. So there's actually more variety in terms of stats that can be on items in DD2 than there was in DD1. But what there isn't is that there's not really variety in play style between getting weapons. So for example, in DD1 there are weapons that had spread shot attacks, so there are weapons that did attacks in circles, and there are weapons that threw grenades and those kind of things. And those are all things we're adding, but it's something that we chose not to focus on first because we do have 2 melee characters and 2 range characters, and a lot of those in DD1 were largely for actually the range characters. So, we have three range characters. So it's it's something that we will definitely be looking into down the line and figuring out how we're going to do that in DD2 and at the same time keep the game fun and balanced. So you don't need a two-shot weapon, but you might want a two-shot weapon, that sort of thing as well. Also, kind of the enemy movement patterns is different in DD2 than it is in DD1, so we have to kind of figure out what will be as effective or as fun to use as kind of like the spread shot that existed in DD1 as opposed to the way the enemies move with the new AI system in DD2. Oh, this is a great question. So do you ever plan on splitting DU across heroes and multiplayer? To get rid of the, hey, one builder, 3 DPSing. So obviously we have some systems in the game with our intention to be to try to make it so everyone can build and have fun in a match. Obviously that requires a lot of communication. So we definitely see a lot of times it going both ways. Some people saying, hey, you know, I just want one builder and I want everyone else to play, and another way where people are saying, hey, we want everyone to build. So it is something that we're going to be looking into. It's interesting because the request to make DU, oh man, you can do hard. I believe in you. Do it.
My builders
Do
are
it.
crap right now. We'll see. We'll be fine.
It's you know, kind of what splitting up DU would do is it would make it so players wouldn't ask other players for their mana, but as it is right now, they can't steal your mana from you. So technically, you right now you could if you want to still build, but we do recognize that we have to kind of figure out where we want to go with player interaction there and try to figure out, are there multiple game modes, are there multiple matchmaking pools, you know, how do we set the game up properly for that. It's also just an issue with, you know, progression in a skill-based game like this too, which is that like I was talking about before, it's hard to balance for progression, and if this was a game without progression, then, you know, maybe there is a mode in that in the future, I'm not sure, but basically, you know, where the stats were leveled out, then people wouldn't also be saying, hey, I have, you know, my towers have 100 more HP than yours, so let's use them. So it's definitely a difficult thing. The fun of the game is in progression, and it's something that we're going to need to work on, is figuring out how to, you know, kind of make public games fun to play with each other. We do have a social score system that we're working on, and hopefully as that continues to evolve, that will also help encourage people to play cooperatively and let everyone build and do those sorts of things as well if people want to. Another question, in the first game there was different camera modes, like first person and top view. Will we bring that back to the game as well? So I think this is the first question that I've actually gotten, which the answer is no. You know, we made a lot of sacrifices to all of the different view modes in DD1 in order to support all the different ones. And when we looked at the data, we looked at what most people played in third person, very, very large percentage. So we decided that we really wanted to focus on making the third person tower placement and the third person gameplay as good as possible, which is what we've done in Dungeon Defenders 2. And I hope a lot of you can feel the improvements there. And we're not, at this time, we're spending resource working on other parts of the game as opposed to, you know, adding in other camera modes, and the amount of time it would take to make those also feel equally good would be a lot of time. So let's see. You can like zoom in and out here if you want to show Josh. It's obviously not top-down mode. If this is feature that people would like for having like a more zoomed out kind of control like this, it's definitely something that we might consider. We kind of put, you know, we had a focus for some of the Defense Council feedback really on about putting this in early so that people could play from a much farther distance away if they wanted to, as opposed to really close up how it was when we were first working on this. That character's huge. So I heard DPS characters isn't even as close as good as they would before. This is intentional. So, you know, this is really funny. There's a lot of hearsay in playing this game. I would just play the game for yourself and use your own experiences as kind of how you view the game. The last I heard, everyone was talking about how the DPS characters are the best and you couldn't use builders. I think that Dungeon Defenders 2 is possibly a more knowledge-intensive game than the first one. So as that communal knowledge increases, and depending on what people know, what combos people use, what items, what special stats they found, what legendary items they have, that really changes, you know, the way that people are playing the game. So really both are pretty strong in the game right now, and I think both are fun to play too. So. Let's see.
So we should probably just take a few more questions. It's 5:35 right now, so we'll be calling in the art team. But luckily for you guys, I'm in the depths of a combat phase right
Can't
now.
even talk.
I know.
Yeah, have some bubble wrap you.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so a couple more questions, and then we'll still take questions maybe after the artist play, since this will be our last live stream before break. Although maybe one of us will sneak on the Trendy channel, and if we don't play Dungeon Defenders, maybe play something else.
What would we play?
What would we play?
Yeah.
I play Hearthstone. I've been playing all day. But we can also. I'm really looking forward to getting Shadows of Mordor. Hopefully, when it goes on sale.
So good.
Yeah, so we'll see. Unfortunately, I have Dragon Age on PS4, so I wouldn't be able to stream that. But let's see. So we're gonna run through a couple more questions quickly. Do you have plans to add any passive environment class that is always on or random? We actually already have one in the game. If you play Ruins map, there are passive towers, kind of similar to like what there would be in a MOBA, but you can only have one activated at a time. So you get to choose where that environmental trap is placed. But it acts passively and you don't have to activate it. So yeah, that's definitely something we're doing. I think Chris talked somewhat to this on the last Devstream. So if you want, you can pull that up and watch. He's our lead level designer, and he's working on not only revising the current environmental traps in all of the maps, but creating ones for the new maps.
2 more questions.
2 more questions. Okay, do you think the boost aura makes the game too hard to balance? Is there a plan to put a cap on boost strength? So the boost aura is a very interesting beast because it's a very mathematical tower. Basically, the more towers you squeeze into it, the significantly better it is, and there's the pros and cons of using the boost aura versus upgrading your own towers. It's hard to balance the game around a lot of things, so I think time will tell. The Monk and the Huntress and the Squire are all due for revamps in the further future. Right now we're still working on some of the core features of the game before we do that and getting your feedback and data. And I think if we see a change, that's probably when we'll see a change to it. So we're trying to weigh fun versus balance as well. There are some things that are really fun but also hard to balance. We don't want to take the fun out of the game because for sake of balance. So you might look at something like Borderlands where it's not a balanced game, but it's crazy fun. So I still don't think we know where exactly on the spectrum from ridiculous fun, everything's OP, do you find crazy stuff, to it's very balanced, like a MOBA will fall on, but it's something that we would love kind of your guys' feedback from. Maybe a thread in the forums talking about that could be really cool, which kind of thing you guys want to see. Let's see, so I have one more question?
Yeah, one more.
I have one
you should
more.
pick one that's kind of lengthy.
I should pick a lengthy one. Oh, because you started another wave.
He wanted to go.
Alright, well,
I was just trying to be a good teammate.
Okay.
Oh my.
Well, I can't scroll up on the questions, so if you guys want to ask some more questions really quick, I'll pick the meatiest one to answer before we call on the art team on. So this is the first time that we've done this before. We're going to call on, I think, 5 people from the art team to come on to Skype with us. Some are in the office, some are out of the office on break already, and we're just going to chat about the game and the art and have you guys ask questions, and they're going to riff off of each other like they do, and we'll see how you guys enjoy it. And if you like it, maybe we'll do it with some of the other teams or do further things like that in the future. Let's see. I'll answer this one really quick, since it's a fast one. I'll pick one more question. So being able to upgrade inventory bags, yeah, that's definitely something we're gonna do. There's a ton of ideas that you guys have told us, suggestions that I've seen on the forums, and things that I've heard internally that our designers want to do for the bag system for the game. It's another system. We're in early access, we're in pre-alpha. That's in its infancy, and there's going to be a lot of improvements and changes to that over the early access period of the game. Okay, so yes, this is the question I'll take time on. I picked it out. Thank you, ZLX99. Are there any plans to make the game more random? Right now, aside from a few lanes getting more different enemies when they appear, it feels like every round is generally the same and takes away from the levels being replayable. Yes, the core infrastructure is in place to make the game very random. And not necessarily random, but replayable, I'll say. there are two big systems that do this. We call all of them the Wave Director. One of the systems is the one that actually puts the different enemies into the different lanes each time you play. And the other one is one that's not active right now that can actually read the map and read your defense placement and choose what enemies to give you based on how you set up the map. So, it's our long-term plan to actually have a Wave Director mode that really reads like what you're playing in the game and then may play against you. And the idea is that we can create certain personalities for that, and maybe you're playing against a general who's like super aggressive, or you're playing against one who's like very targeted, or you're playing someone who focuses on air. And then just kind of like Left 4 Dead, they will just kind of like the ones that are Left 4 Dead or in Left 4 Dead, it's really fun every time you play, and it's a cool experience because you're like, oh man, the left lane is really strong and there's just a couple goblins on the right lane, so let's only build on the left lane. And the next wave you're like, holy shit, there's like 100 dragons on the right lane, what the hell? I guess we have to sell stuff and rebuild, or I guess we have to have all our heroes there, whatever kind of strategies that you pick. So it is our long-term goal to do that. There's actually a lot of, you'll probably hear us say this a lot on the stream, but I think, how many designers do we have on the design team? We have maybe like, I don't know, I don't want to give a number because I'm going to miss one person and then get yelled at. But we have only a handful of designers at Trendy, and a lot of the work for setting up the different lanes and putting those systems in is very time intensive. So right now they're busy working on a lot of other features for the games, but it is something that we're going to be focusing on in the future.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I hope that was a long, good answer. You're in a build phase, so
yeah.
Let's call on the art team.
I almost called Brad. I should call Brad.
Just surprise them.
Yeah.
You should just pick a random person on your Skype and be like,
pretend
hey, this is the Trendy Devstream number 2. We have some questions to ask you.
This is Regis Philbin, and you're on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? All right.
It's to call a friend. All right, let's see. We're supposed to call him in at 30. It's 40 now. Let's see what they say. Hey guys, our team, you guys are live on the Trendy Devstream number 2.
Awesome.
Oh man, so if you guys want to say hi to everyone and let them know what your name is and what you do here besides draw pretty things.
I draw pretty things.
Yeah. You do a lot more than that, Jordan. Cool, so introduce yourself, guys. Pick your
Jordan,
order.
go first. Jordan.
I'm Jordan Curbo. I'm the lead 3D artist. I draw lots of things.
I'm Rusty Drake. I'm art director, and I do concept and other things as well.
I'm Joseph Joyle, and I make the VFX.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I'm Josh Javahari. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
We can hear you.
Hi, Josh.
Tell them what you do.
Yeah, I'm the lead tech artist, and it's a lot of kind of like behind-the-scenes art.
Cool. So I think, do we have one more person from the art team on?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
All right. Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. So the way we're going to run this is I'm going to ask you guys a question, and then you guys can just talk amongst each other about it and kind of yell at each other and, try to be amusing. Humorous.
So we're just going to put the microphones down and huddle amongst ourselves and talk about it.
So the first question I'm going to ask is going to be a visual effects oriented one. How did we get to the visual effects style we have, and what kind of effect does that have on, creating the art for the game?
Do you want to take that, Joe?
I mean, we really wanted to go for a nice, toony feel, and we found an amazing artist to make our awesome flipbooks for us.
It's not where we started, though. We started doing stuff realistic, and we had a bunch of fades and using...
that was before I joined the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that the VFX sort of progressed was we definitely started sort of DD1 style. A few of us, and I was around, and I was sort of in charge of the VFX for the first project, and that was sort of just a hodgepodge of sort of random VFX, some realistic, some cartoony, and we kind of carried that through for the first part of the project, and then we sort of wanted to define a more progressive sort of like defined style. So what we've done is we combined basically the toony sort of flipbooks, sort of the hand animated, Disney style flipbooks, like things like explosions, things like that, with secondary elements that are much more simple. So very simple shapes. We don't use gradients. We use very solid, simple shapes, and that's kind of where we are now. And I think the effect is very nice because what happens is it allows us to be very clean with the VFX, which was always a problem in the first game because the first game was just all over the place, and it was very hard to read what you were doing sometimes in the heat of a battle, especially towards the later end game. So one of the goals was always to make things in mind, keeping in mind the readability of what we're doing. So simple shapes and going with a much simpler approach.
And I was pretty apprehensive about it to begin with, because I believe you, Josh, came up with the idea to begin with, and you ran it past Danny, and you guys were both pretty into it, and I was still kind of thinking it wasn't going to look so good, but you definitely proved me wrong.
Boom.
Because it looks awesome!
Yeah.
It does look awesome. I would definitely say it's one of the defining features of the art style for the game right now. We actually had a ton of people in the comments just talk about it. So we do have one thing that people are asking. I think this is what they're talking about, but I could be wrong. They're calling them Meebers. Those are the Ramsters. Yes. Okay. We call them Ramsters. I don't know where Meebers come from.
I can tell you if you want.
Yeah, explain really quickly.
Please.
So I'm almost positive that our profanity filter was filtering the word flame burst, which is one of the Princess Towers, and they realized that it was the end of the word flame and the beginning of the word burst, Meeber, and so they started calling the Ramsters Meebers and have a strong campaign. I believe that's our remote QA team. So shout out to those wonderful guys and girls who do an incredible job.
That's really funny.
So, so I would love to ask our team here, how did we come up with the Ramsters, and talk about some of the other critters that are on the map, and really where we're gonna take kind of those things in the future with future maps that we're working on.
It was a character sheet that Enrique had come up with. He did, I think, 6 total different little animals, and we just looked at the sheet and went, "Yep, that one. That one is awesome." And it was the Ramster that you see now. So there's 5 more that we could probably throw at you later that are pretty cool too.
I think there was I've seen a concept art for like a female white Ramster that also kind of looks like a bunny.
Yes.
That looks awesome. When are you guys making that one?
That's a good question. We were going to do it pretty soon, but then other stuff got in the way. So that should be fairly
So that's
soon.
priority number 1 now.
Yeah,
Right.
not those legendary weapons that I saw you guys working on, but
Yeah, who wants those?
Ramsters.
Yeah, totally.
Yep, and our community is confirming they don't want legendary weapons. So
Yeah.
Oh man, that makes it so much easier.
Yep.
I'm glad we got that squared away.
Yeah, so sorry for all that work on those legendary weapons, guys.
It's
That's
okay.
Okay, so we have a question here from the guys in the chat, and the question is, guys and gals, I love costumes and visual microtransactions in games, especially when costumes change animations. Can you talk a little bit about kind of what costumes you're creating, how you're creating them, and maybe tell us a little bit about what they'll do?
There's a couple different ways that we're doing it, and I don't know how much I can really talk about it. Phil, you can stop me if I overstep my bounds.
I'll shout. We'll just hang up on you guys if you talk too much.
There's 2 ways. One is we're creating completely new models that have a whole new theme to them. And the other way is to take existing pieces and just paint them to look different. And by that, it's more than just throwing different colors at. Excuse me. It's tweaking the skin, the texture to have more overlapping elements. So even though it is the same geometry, it's really not going to look the same.
And does everyone else want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the costumes you've worked on? You don't necessarily have to say their names, but we can kind of, if you want to tell people kind of like where we're coming from a design perspective on what kind of concepts we're producing for the costumes and what kinds of stuff we're going to make for them.
I don't know, Jordan, did you make some? You did.
I worked on the Yak Squire, which is quite possibly the best one that will ever be made.
It's the best one. Which embellishment headpiece do you like the best?
I kind of like there's like a bull mask one. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a ramster bull. I have no idea, but it's the best thing.
There might be a Ramster costume for the for the Squire that's in development. I won't say any more than that. But maybe not. You know, who knows? Josh is like, I hate you.
Ramster costume confirmed.
Yeah.
Says Trendy and Blade.
But yeah, maybe you can talk a little bit about. I think that costume is a great example of how some of the stuff is really silly and some of it's serious, and how we're kind of approaching doing both of those things with the costumes.
Well, it kind of reflects upon the state of mind of the concept artists and people modeling it, because sometimes they'll be just doing tons of goofy stuff and like, oh my god, I just want to do something that's cool and serious and just awesome. And so they start doing that for a little while and they get bored of it, and I need to do something just completely stupid. And so we just have these waves, it goes back and forth.
Oh, we have someone here saying the monk isn't the monk to him without the ninja skin. So that's actually one that you can preview right now in the tavern. If you go up to where the costume shop will be when we get that in.
And that was kind of the thinking around here too, is Danny Araya, the creative director here, he feels the same way. And so that was one of the things, that the high on the priority list is, yep, we're doing a skin for the monk. Okay, ninja, now.
It was definitely one of the cooler skins for DD1, I think, because he got the flip.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So just like DD1 had silly skins and serious skins, I think we're going to be doing the same thing here. And then for those of you that don't know, we're also working on a system. We don't know exactly how it will work yet, but we've been creating a lot of content for it, and you've heard us talking about it, which are embellishments, which basically let you also evolve and change how a skin looks. Do you guys maybe want to talk a little bit about creating those, and maybe kind of some of the challenges about making so many different ways to change a skin or a costume?
It is a little more difficult just because you have the constraints of its existing, so the skins that you do have to fit on what's there. So it's a lot easier to do blue sky. Just, hey, make a new skin, theme it like whatever. So,
one of the biggest constraints also when we're designing new embellishments is that we have to keep in mind, unless the embellishment requires new animations, which is something that we've explored but not really dealt too much with, is that we have to make sure that the new embellishments and the new geometry on those skins are going to accommodate the current animations for the model. So that's one of the big concerns, right? So we need to make sure, for example, the Squire doesn't have a huge shoulder pauldron that will intersect with his head when he does his slash, things like that.
And there's a balance too, because we allow some intersecting stuff if the geometry is cool enough, It
also depends on what we call like the tier or the production quality tier of the embellishments, right? So like a higher tiered, embellishment might look cooler, and maybe we'll give it a little bit more wiggle room, right?
Yeah.
What else? What you got?
Oz. Alright, cool. So yeah, I don't know when exactly we're going to show those to you. A lot of people are saying, oh sweet, you guys are talking about costumes. When are the costumes going to come out? We don't know exactly yet, but it is one of the systems that we're currently working on. Whoa. Oh, you just fucking trigger finger that. You're like, bam, 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 pick it all up. Alright,
I'm scooping.
it's we recognize that, not just for monetization sake. I actually think it's going to go in before we have monetization, but just changing how your characters visually look is a big part of the Dungeon Defenders franchise and a big part of RPGs in general. So it is one of our focuses now in terms of features that we really want to get into the game, just to make it fun to play the game in general.
And it's something that I'm definitely pushing for. I'd love to see more costumes in there. I mean, it's part of the fun, being unique. Going into a room, a map, and there's 3 different huntresses. You don't want to look the same as the other huntresses, right? You want to stand out. You want to be cool. You want it to be yours.
Yeah, I had a fun moment today when I was playing 25++, and I had my Squire, and a legendary dropped on the throne room, and I was staring at it. Meanwhile, there's like a battle going around, on around me, and I'm just staring at this weapon, in the middle of the thing, just just staring. And to the other guy, it just looks like I'm looking at nothing, right? So I finally pick it up, and then we're in the tavern afterwards, and he's just staring at it too because it just looks so awesome, and he'd never seen it before.
So those unique elements really stand out.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, the visual distinction is really important, and the only way to get that right now from skill or having played a long time is really the legendary weapons. So it'll be fun to kind of get the skins in, and maybe even more importantly, the embellishments and the embellishments for the base costume. So people will see people and they're like, "Oh man, like how did you get that?" Or you played that long to look that cool. That's really cool. So
Who's eating something while we're streaming?
hey guys, come on now. We said no food.
It's not me.
This is the last day for many people in the office before break. For those of you just tuning in, so kind of relaxing a bit. You see, we're moving offices, so you have this nice ugly wall behind us from our conference room with no more posters or anything up. And we have the whole, not the whole art team, about half of the art team.
Yeah.
On conference call right now, some in the office and some out of the office to basically answer your guys' questions and chat about the art. So I actually have a question for the art team, which is, how do we decide to make the tavern look like this, and what are some of the unique features while Josh is here that you guys really enjoy designing, and kind of where do you want to take stuff like this in the future?
I believe it started. We had an inn that was going to be part of a player hub for the other iteration, the MOBA that we were creating. So that was going to be a level that you go into and play. And that got trashed and set aside. And then it came up that we wanted to revisit the tavern and create the tavern for this iteration of DD2 that we have now. And so we just looked back and said, hey, we already got that in. Let's take that and combine it with the aspects of the DD1 tavern and turn it into its own special space in the style that we have now. And I think we went pretty overboard.
Well, it's funny, Rusty, because for those of you who have jumped into the tavern and run around, there are some areas that are not accessible. So actually, when we first designed the tavern, it was huge, right? And we kind of scaled it back and kind of hid some things. So hopefully we'll be able to. I mean, in DD1, obviously we had some secrets here and there. So you can kind of look forward to that too. We want you spend what, like 20-30% of your time in the tavern, something like that, right? So we want to make it a fun place. We want to make it a very interesting place for people to socialize.
Yeah, no, I think you guys did a great job, and I think it looks fantastic. You maybe want to talk, if you jump to I don't know how long these will stay in the game, but one of the really big problems we had initially was the matchmaking system. There's a lot of work we need to do there. And we ended up having this confusing thing where there are two taverns, which everyone in the chat knows about, and the mission gating, which someone just talked about, which we are fixing, or working on a fix for. It pains me to see you have such a good weapon, Josh. Anyways, I'm just kidding. I would love to talk a little bit about kind of the night tavern versus the day tavern, and some bit about that, and how you guys did that from an artistic standpoint to make them feel different.
That was mostly Josh's doing. So
yeah, I can answer that. Sure. So we, to be honest with you, the scope of what we want to do for the entry tavern and for the group tavern is a little bit different. But due to time constraints, we basically decided to make it simpler for people to recognize that they're different by changing the time of day, right? So the entry tavern is nighttime, and the group tavern is a daytime. And there are some slight
nighttime, daytime.
Right. There are some slight geometry changes, and obviously we have a couple of different NPCs to sort of help differentiate it. But we do have some things in the works to make matchmaking feel a lot better and to differentiate the two hubs basically.
Perfect, thank you. So I think we have 2 minutes left on the live stream, so I want to thank all of you guys for calling in. I wanted to, before we leave, for each of you just to say one interesting thing about the game that you've worked on, or that you think, from an art perspective, that you think people would like to hear.
Oh my God.
Just one.
Just one?
Just one. One per person.
Can you get back to me? Jordan,
else
Jordan,
knows.
go.
Does
quick.
it? Can that include the content we're working on now?
Yeah, just don't give a name for it.
Hmm.
Use a code word.
There's this
That's
thing with the stuff
yeah.
that does the what's it?
You can be
And
more
oh my
specific
god,
than
it's so cool.
Really excited for a lot of the new oob work we're doing in the new levels. I think we're
Should explain oob.
yeah, the out of bounds geometry, the cool stuff you get to look at, like the big vistas and such. That's something we're really trying to push.
So even cooler than ruins, or what's it called in here? Not ruins are two. Nimbus Reach.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think everyone's looking forward to seeing those, including myself. I need to catch up with some of the maps you guys have been working on.
Yeah, I'd have to agree too that the maps that we're working on now, we've definitely learned a lot from the ones that we created for the first region, and we're kind of upping our game, putting a little more detail into things, giving it a little more history, because now we've talked a lot more about that, about the history and lore of DD2, and so the places that we're creating now just have more lived in, more story to them. It's really cool.
Yeah. So
I'm
cool. That's
excited.
one person's one thing. Let's go around.
Can I say two things, or does it have to be one?
If you speak fast enough, I might
Okay.
allow two things.
All right.
Go.
So,
Fast.
first one, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's one word, and it starts with a P. So,
I hope
pets,
you're talking
right?
about me.
Oh, that's not at all what I was.
The second thing is I'm really happy that we have visual distinctions when we upgrade towers now. That was the thing that really bothered me in DD1, and I think that really makes towers feel, or defenses, I should say, more powerful as you progress.
Agreed. It's definitely one of my favorite things too. Just the satisfaction of seeing your defenses change when you upgrade them adds a really big reward loop into the moment-to-moment gameplay, in my opinion. So cool. That's two. All right. You ready, Rusty?
Yeah. Good. Does it have to be something that we have worked on or are working on right now?
No.
Because it's something that I'm really looking forward to. Is creating new towers.
Yeah.
Because
Not
I
just new
really
towers,
love.
but also new tower skins as well, right?
Right. Yeah. For the existing ones. But yeah, just completely updating. I want to be able to take the towers that you have. You have 3 of them. Wait, 4? I don't know how many. What game is this? 4.
Why don't we bring Rusty on? He doesn't even work on that.
and taking one out and swapping in with something completely different, and just have a complete arsenal of towers at your disposal, because the towers are just the coolest thing about the game. It is the game. And I love to see them. I love the special effects that go with them. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more done with that.
Yeah, me too. And that was actually a question that we had earlier today. All right, sweet. So I think we have Joseph.
Yeah. The current level I'm working on is slowly becoming my favorite level visually, and the effects going into it are going to be pretty
It's a
awesome.
very spooky level, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty spooky.
Super
Would have
spooky.
been good for Halloween.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. It really looks gorgeous. And I've peeked over your shoulder, your desk a couple of times with
Creepy.
some of the ghost effects that I've seen you guys working on, and they just look fantastic. So I'm really excited to see that. Actually, I'm probably going to come over to your guys' desk after we're done with this live stream to look at the new lighting build that I heard was created. So
Oh yeah, Brian was working on that.
cool. I think that's everyone that called in, right? Didn't miss anyone?
Think so.
All right, cool. Thank you guys so much for being on the stream. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and it's probably something that we do again in the future.
Sweet.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, and that's it for our last for our second dev stream.
Our last one.
Last one of the year.
This is the last dev stream of 2014, right? We're in 2014.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys in January. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you liked it. If you have more questions that we didn't get to answer, please jump on our forums and let us know.
All right, take care, everybody.
Happy holidays. Bye.